So this is why I decided to pack my bags for good and leave everything I had in my home country, Sweden, to come here to Dubai, to make hijrah to the United Arab Emirates and make Dubai my home. And the funny thing is, this is not the first time I've done it. I actually tried just less than a year after I reverted back to Islam. I decided to make hijrah. That's basically when I learned about the conditions of hijrah, what hijrah even is. And for those of you who might not know what I'm talking about, hijrah is basically migration, right, in English. But in Islam, it's about moving from a country of, overwhelming disbelief, overwhelming, crazy stuff, to a country where you can practice your religion fully, right? And this is what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did when he migrated from Mecca to Medina, right? And subhanallah, I think people they talk about it, making hijrah, but they don't do a lot about it. And this is what I've noticed when I became a Muslim. A lot of the brothers around me, like that was one of the first things they talked about. Like the first thing was basically, okay, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna change your name? And all these things, right? Normal stuff, standard stuff. But very early on, they talked about hijrah and taught me about it. And I realized, okay, this is something I gotta do, I heard all about these hadith about it, the warnings about living close to disbelievers and disbelief, And I got scared. And I think that's why I got stressed out, and I decided to make hijrah back then, and I moved to Egypt. I made a lot of mistakes back then, and I don't know. I don't want to cover it in this video. I think I'll make a separate video if you guys want to hear about those mistakes, because it's very important that when you make hijrah, you do it in the right way. It's not a in the moment decision that you make, especially in the days and times we live in now. Like, there's a lot of obstacles you gotta solve and challenges you gotta overcome before even thinking about making hijrah. But I hold the opinion that every single Muslim should make hijrah, like absolutely should. And I don't care if your family or whatever lived in whatever country for how many generations. Like, I'm Swedish. Like, Sweden is my country. I don't have any other origin. And I decided to leave. And if that's not proof enough that you can actually do that, I don't know what, right? But at the end of the day, like, you wanna make sure to protect yourself in this worldly life from danger, from the whispers of shaitan, from fitna, from all these temptations and desires and crazy stuff, especially if you're thinking about raising a family, right? And for those of you who have families and have kids, you probably know what I'm talking about, right? Sure, maybe you can pray at work. Maybe you can do all of these things. But as years goes by, you know what's happening, right? Like, it's basically impossible to raise your kids on like 100% Islamic identity, right? It almost becomes secondary. And sure, I know brothers that raise their kids in Sweden and other countries, and their kids are like, much better than Muslims in Muslim countries. But at the end of the day, we're looking at the majority, the standard, the norm, not the exceptions, right? Because if we would be looking at the exceptions, I don't know, that would be a little bit skewed, if you ask me. However, when I decided to make hijrah to Dubai, funny enough, it was on my mind, like mentally, but subhanAllah, I didn't even prepare for it. You know what I mean? So it started when I got married to my wife, and it was in the middle of the pandemic. We couldn't travel anywhere. We wanted to make our honeymoon. The funny thing is, like, the day we got married, the 6th of March, like, that's basically when our country, Sweden, went into lockdown. Like, the same day. It was crazy, man. So we wanted to do our honeymoon. We couldn't go anywhere, and we waited. And yeah, it was a crazy time. Like a year went by, and we saw that, I don't know if that was before, but we saw that Dubai was like pretty open. Like, everything was on lockdown. You couldn't go anywhere, but Dubai was pretty open, and we just heard about it, right? I think it was her friends, someone I knew that went there, and they said, like, hey, you can go there, like, it's all fine. You gotta wear your mask, you gotta take the vaccines and everything, sure, but you can go there. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I only had like the westernized view of Dubai. It's just what you call, like, materialistic. It's not like, there's no Islam there. But when I came there, it blew my mind. Like, it truly blew my mind. And I think a lot of misconception I had were like totally gone when I entered the airport. Just that, it was so clean, it was so beautiful, and there were Muslims everywhere. Sure, like non-Muslim, but when you get there, you see there it's a Muslim country, right? You have prayer rooms everywhere. You have all of this, all of these things, and we went around in Dubai. Like, obviously, being the pandemic, you couldn't like do things you could now. And I told my wife that, like, during that time, that because we are travelers, right? And we're in Sweden. What do we have there really? Like, sure, we have our jobs, but is that really where we want to be? And, like, mind you, like, when even before we got married and we got to know each other, like, that was one of the things we talked a lot about. Like, what's our future like, right? Like, should we stay here or not? You know what I mean? In Sweden. And we didn't, but we didn't really know where to go otherwise, right? I talked about Egypt because I was there before. She wasn't so keen about it, but anyways, when we were in Dubai, like, we were so blown away about like how beautiful everything was and amazing, and how it was still Islamic. You heard that, and you could pray in the mosque, like, everything. So I told her, like, let's make dua for this, that Allah helps us to move here. And subhanAllah, like, if you're watching this and you want to get away and you want to move to a Muslim country or wherever that is, like, don't underestimate dua. Like, really don't. And I do it all the time. I forget. I try to remind myself of this story because it's a proof. Like, I'm a walking proof that, if anyone is doubtful about dua working, don't look further, right? Here's your here's your proof. So it was really weird because when we came home, and this is also another thing connected to dua, like, you gotta believe. You gotta believe in the decree of Allah, the plan He has for you, and just accept it. Even though it might not seem good to you right now. Like, to be honest with you, where I'm right now in my life, it's hard. Like, I'm in a rough spot, like, in many areas of life. And again, this is a reminder that not everything is supposed to go as you plan. It's supposed to go as Allah planned, right? So subhanAllah, like, when we came home, I lost my job. My wife was already pregnant, and things happened, and you're just like, what is this, right? And sometimes Allah forces you to burn bridges in order for you to build new ones. Because if those bridges were not burned down, you might have never built these new bridges, right? And that was a moment of a bridge burning down in order for another one to be built. Because shortly after, I lost my job. I was like, because of the pandemic, obviously, but so it was impossible to find new jobs. I had no education, nothing, right? Only my personal trainer, whatever. But you know how, like, you could not be a personal trainer in that time, during the pandemic. Impossible. And I got this call from a friend, like a sheikh, right? Also Swedish revert, mashallah, very knowledgeable, a role model, like a true role model for me in many aspects, subhanallah, may Allah bless him. Anyways, he called me and he told me he had a thing he wanted to talk to me about. Like he had a surprise. And we met up, we talked about it, and he said, look, there's some people I know in Dubai. They're looking for, European students, specifically Swedish students, because he was Swedish, obviously, to come and study in Dubai under their scholarship. And I was like, like this. It blew my mind. I didn't know what to say. I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. Many things happened. I also got accepted to the University of Medina. And so there were a lot of things happening there, but I decided to come to Dubai. And, the reason was because I wanted a future. I wanted a different future for myself and for my family, spiritually, financially, mentally, in all aspects. And I love Dubai. I love this country. I truly do. Like, I really do. Now, no country is perfect. So you can, like, whatever you think about this country, sure, I've heard it. No country is perfect, but I can guarantee you, like, if you have not been in Dubai, and you have, like, or if you have been in Dubai, but you just hanged out in Jumeirah, like, at the beach, you saw all this fitna, you're like, oh no, this is blah, make sure to visit Dubai and, send me a message, man. Like, if you want to see what Dubai really is, there are amazing brothers, amazing, sisters probably as well. My wife have a lot of friends here. There are so many opportunities to study Islam, to grow as a person, to level up, to start your business. It's so easy. Everything's so easy. Yeah, and that's like basically what I wanted to say in this video. Like, don't put this off. Make dua and just be ready. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to, do crazy things in order to do that. But just be ready. Like, be ready that you're not attached to where you are. First of all, in this dunya, but also in the country you live in, especially if it's not a Muslim country. Like, try to look up and see the other opportunities that are out there. Because Allah might show you signs and you're just turning a blind eye to them, right? So don't be blind to Allah's blessings. They are there. You just need to look at them and see them for what they really are, blessings and opportunities. And, it's your responsibility then to take those opportunities and make the best out of those moments. Because when they're gone, they're gone, and what's left is going to be, regret, right? So, anyways, that's it for this video. Let me know, like, there's, I can talk about when I went to Egypt. I can talk about other things, why I didn't go to the Medina University, how it is to study Islam here in Dubai. Like, there's a lot of stuff I can cover in other videos. Just let me know in the comments. I would love to make videos about what you think I should talk about. Yeah, see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.